Hey, Joe.
Hi, Brian.
Hey, this is our first real estate podcast.
Exciting stuff.
Yeah, your name is Joe Stevenson. Do I have that right?
You have that right.
I've known you for a long time. I just want to make
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
18 years now, 20 years now, something like that.
Has it been that long?
It's been a while, something like that.
I don't want people knowing how old we
Oh,
are.
okay. I
So
just met you like last week.
yeah.
Yeah,
At my 21st birthday. Yeah.
yeah, that was fun. Remember,
Yeah.
we listened to those popular songs by that one artist who's Olivia Rodrigo. Yeah, big
Yes.
fan of Olivia Rodrigo.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Kids are listening to. Like we're the kids. We
We are
we
the
the
kids.
kids are listening.
We know because we're the kids. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So okay. So this is a podcast about real estate. You work in real estate.
I
You're a
do.
real estate agent.
And all kidding aside, I've been in it a long
Yeah.
time. So yeah.
Well, you've been in the Kansas City area for a long time. That's what we're here to do is talk about the Kansas City area, the metro, and a lot of areas in the metro, isn't there? You work all over, don't you?
There are Kansas City, when you think nationwide doesn't pop up in many people's minds as a huge metro area, but it sprawls. There's a lot of different areas, and some of the areas can be very different than some of the others. It's many, many miles across, and
Yeah, it's very sprawling. I hear that a
yes,
lot.
yeah.
One particular place I want to talk about today. What do you know about Prairie Village, Kansas? What do you know about that place?
I know a good deal about Prairie Village. My brother lives over in Prairie Village with
Yeah.
his wife and their little boy. And his wife is, I guess you would say, native to Prairie Village.
First question is after that first question, my next first question
Yeah.
is there real estate in Prairie Village, Kansas? Do they have real estate there?
They have a very strong and vibrant real estate market there.
Okay,
Yes.
good. So
Yeah.
they have some real estate
Yes.
over
Yeah.
there. Okay.
Yeah. Much like the rest of the Kansas City metro area and America, you can buy real estate there.
Yeah. Yeah. So you told me we have a friend named Matt. We used to go over there back in the day to hang out. And that was on Mission Road.
Yes.
What is like is it like it's in that area or is it like
Mhm.
the borders by chance? I don't know if what's the latitude and longitude
No.
specifically of Prairie Village, Kansas.
It almost goes up to the Missouri state line. And our friend Matt, I think, lived around 55th Street. For those of you who know the area really well, it was over by the Bishop Miege High School.
Okay, yeah.
Uh,
So I remember driving up there when back in the day, and houses up there seem pretty nice. There's some good houses up there, and is it like a, I don't know, is it like a kind of single family first time home buyer kind of thing,
yeah,
or what do they have over there for real estate?
that's it. It's a lot of single family homes over there. I don't still want to comment because I'm afraid I'll get something wrong about the history, but I think of it as very much a true suburb. When you think of classic suburb, um, and it's a lot of stuff that I consider kind of the post World War II era went up in there, and it's kind of where you started to see some of the first, yeah, I guess you could say modern era techniques. You're not seeing a lot of rock foundations over there. You're seeing block, or you even start to see some poured concrete foundations over there, and things like that. Multi-car garages actually attached to the homes,
Okay, all
as
right.
opposed to some of the detached garages you'll see in older homes, things like that.
So it gets more a combination of like kind of classic to what modern we consider modern today kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now there are things you do give up because the homes, like I said, a lot of them built in the 50s and into the 60s. So you don't have as large a closets. You don't have the modern pantry for the Costco generation that you have in today's homes.
Oh yeah, the pantry. Yeah, I love a
Yeah.
good pantry. My house has a pantry. Does that
Mhm.
count? Does that count as a pantry? What I have in my kitchen?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay,
I'd call that. Yeah. It's not, you know,
say it. Go ahead. Just say it. Tell me it's not a good one.
I was going to say it's not a good one if you're like preparing for something, but
Yeah.
like if it snows and you can't get to the store for a day, I think you and your family will be okay.
Okay, that's good. That's
I will check in on you though,
okay.
just to be sure. Yeah.
Well, I remember you sell new homes a lot,
Yes.
and I remember going through some of your new homes, and like you have those pantries that you can walk into, and it's almost
Yes.
like another like room. You can like put a bed in there. I feel like
Yeah.
sometimes if you wanted to.
Some of them you could. In a couple of my new homes, you actually have a walk-through pantry. Like as you come in from the garage, you can walk right in, drop your groceries, and keep walking through it to the kitchen. And that used to be a very premium feature in much larger homes. And we even have a little area we call the butler's pantry where you can set up like a coffee station or something like that. Or if you happen to be buying in the Gardner area of the Kansas City metro and you have a butler, you can use that butler's pantry
Yeah.
for the butler.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm sure that's a lot of people butlers looking
Yeah.
for a pantry for their butler.
The problem then is if you have a butler, then it becomes very low class to use it because then you're commingling your stuff with your butler stuff.
Does your butler like have to have their own like quarters, the butler quarters?
Now you're getting up there in price,
Okay.
but
All right.
ideally, yeah.
Yeah. I think it was like in Fresh Prince. Did Jeffrey have his own
Did,
quarters?
did he?
I don't
Oh my
know.
gosh!
Honestly, I don't know if he did.
Oh gosh! I think he just slept standing up in his outfit every
Jeffrey
night.
just stayed like in the pantry and
Yeah,
slept sitting.
because he was always there whenever he'd yell "Yo G," he always showed up.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah, he was. And so Prairie Village,
yeah, let's get back to Prairie.
Prairie Village though.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm just trying to think what kind of features are people looking for, like pools available, or what are people looking for when they buy a new house these days? It's the year 2022. So what are people looking for?
New homes, specifically, open concept is still very big. The kitchen as kind of the linchpin, the focal point of the main floor, where everybody gathers and kind of lives out of there now. We have the kitchen islands that people just kind of sit up to, and kids do their homework there. People eat there, and because people are coming and going so quickly today. And then large closets. You can never have closets too big in your bedrooms.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, like those. I like whenever I always look for. I'm big into vaulted ceilings right now. Like
mhm.
that's my thing. If I buy the next house I buy, I think that's one of the things I'm going to ask specifically. Is I like this? My house now has a vaulted ceiling.
Yeah,
I don't think I can go back. I have to have that vaulted ceiling.
yeah, it's very nice. Yeah, it can make a small room feel very big. Um, and the homes I sell, the new homes I sell in Gardner are under, most of them are under 2,500 feet, and the secondary bedrooms, sometimes they're just 11 by 12, 12 by 12, which is a decent room. It's fine, but they feel so much bigger when the ceilings are vaulted. It dramatically changes a room in there.
So I have a question. If somebody were to just like walk up to you and say, "Help me sell my house in
Yeah.
Prairie Village, Kansas,"
Yes.
what's the process? What do you do next?
So the first thing I do is I go look at the house and meet them there. Before I go there, I will have done some market analysis. I will have looked at, like, say it's a 3-bedroom ranch in Prairie Village, which is fairly common. I'll make sure I'm looking at what other 3-bedroom ranches in Prairie Village have sold for. And the way the market is right now, I mean, there were a time we could have gone back 6 months, and you can, but gosh, anything past 90 days is almost archaic information anymore. And there's typically plenty of data. I mean, inventory is tight, so you may have to go back further to find enough homes. But so I will have looked at what has sold. I go in with the mindset looking at what is sold in the area. If the house I'm going to would have been on the market, which of these sold houses would have also been cross shopped with it? And so I have a price range. I haven't nailed down a price yet until I see the home, and then I tour the home with the homeowner, and then we talk about their time frame for selling, what they need to do next, if they need to buy another home in the area, if they're moving out of town, things like that.
And so this is part of a kind of appraisal. I don't know if the word appraisal is right. You're just trying to find a price point that you think
Yeah,
the home could go for. But this is not
yeah.
an appraisal, is it? Or
No, I mean, I do kind of try to think like an appraiser,
Mhm.
but when you're talking an appraisal, you're talking either the county is doing one for your tax assessment, or a bank is doing one for your loan, and you kind of want to think like they do because you want to make sure somebody's still going to qualify for the loan after the bank appraisal. But it's very similar to the way I look at the house, but there is a slight difference in market price versus appraised value.
Okay.
Uh,
So, and you're looking at like comparative homes, and you look at, is it like saying, like, are you checking out like square footage? Like, oh, this one went
mhm.
for $148 a square foot or something like that. Like, can we get that kind of number for this kind of house kind of thing?
That is a metric I look at. but it's usually kind of sixth or seventh down on the list because you can get it, you can get more per square foot, on a premium home site, and so yeah, if you've got a house that's on a busy road, a small backyard, it may be the same square footage in a very nice home, but you're going to have a lower per square foot cost than something that was on a more sprawling home site that backs to trees or something like
Okay.
that.
So you go through that, someone calls you up or they ask you, help me sell my house. And then you go there. And then, so how long between like first contact to meeting to actually listing the house for sale would you say that takes?
Um, it it can go pretty quick, but you want to have at least 5 days there to get a photographer out there. You may want to bring a stager out. And if I go through the house and see like a major repair that needs to be made that the homeowner hasn't seen, usually the homeowners are getting ready for market and it's something small like clean up that plant bed. But
There's a 4 foot gap in the foundation.
you might want to go beyond 5 days before going on the market there because yeah, you might need an engineer out there, and that's at least an afternoon.
Yeah, you're pushing back a listing time at least a little bit if you have that kind of problem going on.
Yeah. Well, on the other
earthquake
hand,
graded. What happened here? Like, oh, I slipped.
on the other hand, you could put it on the market. You just have to disclose gaping structural issue in the basement.
Do not walk in these areas of the kitchen because we don't know what's going to happen.
In fact, we don't even recommend you look at the crack in the foundation. It may be a portal to another dimension.
so, okay, so it can be a week. Looks like we're staring in a week. Can go quickly. Depends on photography, which is that's part of the process. You go there, you take a look around. You're walking around. You're looking at their houses. The homeowner there is like, "Hey, this is great. This is great." And you're telling them, "Yeah, this is looking good. We need to get a stager out here. We need to declutter all these things." I remember we've talked before about like how to stage a home and decluttering the area and taking away non-personal items because you want the potential home buyer to see themselves in the space, not like you.
Oh, I'm making a little note. We should do an episode about staging sometime.
Okay, we should do that. We also have a very popular video with you going through it on our website.
I have had people find that video like just spontaneously.
Yeah.
So
10,000 views. Following your advice for staging.
Yeah. So
you're a stager expert now.
I am.
Well, yeah, I've done this for 20 years.
I'm such a staging expert that I have a stager I bring in because I like to teach another stager how to do it.
Oh, is that right? Okay. Yeah. I thought you were going to go into this. I know a person, like every real estate agent like knows a person for whatever issue.
Oh, I do find myself saying, yeah, I know a guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Quite a bit.
Got you guy for photography. And photography is like when they stage the house, it's like it's not just an iPhone walking around with a mobile device, is it? It's like you have to have a good camera or
absolutely
doing. Okay.
Absolutely. A good impression on the web is critical because that's where everybody starts their home search. I mean, I'm not breaking any news here. I mean, anybody who's listening to this that has looked at homes.
This web you speak about. Tell me more about it. I saw this movie with Sandra Bullock on it. It was called The Net. Is it like that?
You could, if you've seen The Net, you completely understand it. Yeah.
I need to rewatch that movie. I really need to rewatch that. We should watch these films again from the 90s that like were internet based, but the writers had no idea what the heck they were talking about. I'm pretty sure that was probably one of those. Like I like whenever like the CIA, like we downloaded this thing from the internet and it shows the website from the 90s and it looks like a GeoCities gifs of dancing babies on it and it looks so bad. Like the CIA, what is this nonsense?
Wait, the CIA has a flying toaster screensaver.
I also stay that way whenever I watch The West Wing, and you see, Aaron Sorkin has those like shots of people walking through, and there's like people like walking back and forth with all these files and papers, and I'm watching that with my wife, and I really know. I go, I think this was filmed before PDFs were a thing, because they're really using a lot of paper and a lot of file cabinets. Like, can't you just email that thing to whoever you want to get that to? But that was recorded in '95 or something like that.
No, technology has moved so fast. Yeah. Even in our lifetimes. I mean,
yeah. So you gotta
Um,
have good photos,
yes.
photography, and
Yeah.
someone professional, someone who knows like who's done in the past. So you know a person who does all that stuff.
I would say out of staging or photography, photography is even more important. I mean, I've spent a lot of money on a really nice camera, and I still bring in a pro photographer to do it.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Seems like the last few years have just been kind of nuts. Obviously, a lot of things going on, but it seems like a lot of motivated buyers. Is it still like that? Do you think, or are people kind of cooling up? They
Yeah,
are. Okay, I don't know.
yeah. Well, it's I don't know if there really are that many more buyers. There's the inventory is so low that any buyer out there, it's going to feel like they're competing with other buyers because they're going to be making multiple offers on almost everything out there. Um, they're going to be um, competing. When I worked with on the buy side as a buyer's agent, I yeah, it's just been a fact of life that we're probably going to make several offers on several homes before we get something.
Jeez. And we're recording this. It's March of 2022, so we'll
Yes.
revisit this as well in a year from now and see what's changed since then. But all the stuff I read and everything I listen to seems like it's going to stay that way for a little while, unless some terrible, I don't know, something happens. But all things being equal, it seems like it's going to keep that way. But we'll see.
Well, speaking specifically to the Kansas City area, you know, we're trying to keep up with housing by adding new homes. So there's that part of it. But I think even within the Kansas City market, there's people coming out of rentals and things like that. But we're still seeing a fair number of people move from out of town.
Yeah.
Um, and those people aren't putting another house back on the market in the KC area. So um, that that can drive down inventory too.
Yeah. The more you build, right? I mean, it's
Mhm.
I live in Lawrence, and it's kind of like, well, it seems like there's only, as I get around, it seems like there's limited new houses being built in this area.
Yeah.
It's kind of farther on the west side of town, and but yeah, Kansas, like you said, Kansas City is sprawling, and there's
Mhm.
a lot more population over there. But yeah, as long as they keep on building the new houses and doing the new homes, which you're familiar with, hopefully it keeps. But they're building the lumber costs, right? Like the
Mhm.
cost of like production has gone up.
Mhm.
That's like a story I see all the time. Like
Yeah.
buying new products has gone through the roof, right?
Yeah. I have a builder I work with, and just since August, on one of his two-story homes, just generally speaking, the material costs for drywall lumber, he broke it down on a spreadsheet about 10 different items. That home has gone up $30,000 just in materials since
Lord,
August. Yeah.
Lord,
Yeah.
and so we got to make deals directly with Canada, get wood.
Um, Can- Canada, or specifically the Canadian black market. Yeah.
Can you imagine that black market like dealing with Canadians?
I mean,
I'm sure it's the nicest under the ground market ever.
yeah. Well, have you ever you haven't tried good maple syrup unless it is illicitly smuggled Canadian maple syrup, and um,
Well, geez, you got a guy for that?
I have a guy. I have a guy. Yeah.
Well, okay, so it sounds like so you go through the process stage and then people come in and start showing the house. So you put the listing, you put it on the MLS and
Hmm.
put it out there. Unless you have like specific buyers who are like, that they want what this person's offering and you want to go to them first, I assume. I don't know how that works, but so you put it out there and then you start showing the house and then they contact you. And
Yeah.
then like people who are like, or their buyer's agent calls you as the listing agent.
That's the more common, yeah, scenario. Don't see many direct buyers out there without an agent. They're mostly working with agents, and yeah, then the two agents
Figure out, yeah, it's for the best.
yeah, yeah, but yeah, we can talk about it either way. Selling a home on market, which is what 95% of people do, but in the last year, I did end up selling a home off market as well.
Okay, all right. Um, kind of bouncing around the metro a little bit more, and I want to talk more about like what goes into being a real estate agent.
Mhm.
Specifically, what makes like a top or one of the best real estate agent? Like what kind of characteristics goes into like, let's say you're in Overland Park. What would
Mhm.
be like the characteristics of a top real estate agent? Do you think?
Well, I think since it's a client-based industry, you have to be a good listener. And it starts there because with each home, whether you have a buyer client or a seller client, you're working at their direction. So they're kind of your boss as long as you're doing the transaction with them. And so you really have to listen. And that's the one thing. And then the other thing is, since it is client based, there's not really a clock or a calendar. You're kind of working when your clients are available. So if you have people who work 9 to 5, yeah, you're going to be working after 5. You're going to be working on weekends, and so you have to be flexible there.
Yeah.
And um, those are probably the two main things. I think one of my strengths is I build rapport quickly with people,
Mhm.
and yeah, a lot of that comes from listening.
Yeah.
I try to, as I've probably done 80% of the talking so far on this podcast.
You're right. Well, yeah,
Brian, you still there?
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm completely, no, I'm absolutely still listening to what you're saying.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I mean, and then I mean, a lot of listening, and obviously you probably there's questions I'm sure you ask all the
yes,
time, right? There's like a rundown I'm sure you've gotten used to doing over the years.
yeah. I think where I've done that the most is, since I'm just saying I've done that the most because I do a lot of work in new homes, and I'm working with builders, which is the same seller over and over again. But on the buy side, you you really have to do a good buyer's consultation before you go out. And that doesn't mean like an hour-long interview. It just means you hit some basics like how many bedrooms you want, what's your budget, when do you have to move. Um, and then I always kind of wrap it up with like, all right, now what's something we haven't talked about? And it can be anything, just something you want that's not necessarily like a metric, like bedroom square footage, something.
Remember when we recorded that video with Chad?
Yeah.
He wants a Porsche that reminds him of Anderson Cooper.
Yes.
I'll have to link to that video. It's really funny. We have this really, really funny friend named Chad, and
Yeah.
he just improvised. We made this funny video, and he just improvised this whole line. And basically, what you were talking about, he was like just coming up with random things that he wants in a house, and one of them was a porch that reminds him of Anderson Cooper.
Yeah. Something else.
But the master bedroom has to be carbonated.
Carbonated, yes. Want a lot of windows, no glass.
It just goes on. It's so funny.
A 2-story with no stairs.
If I can resell this, there's no stairs. How do you resell this?
Yeah.
It's a slide mechanism.
You get people with a lot of upper body strength, and you buy some nice rope. You get your stager to bring in designer ropes,
rope ladders, and it doesn't have to be a rope. It could be a lot of things as long as you're pulling yourself up a flat surface, though. Yeah.
If you have been wanting to get into the jetpack industry,
so I like so I won't go back to your flexibility. You're like you work you got to be available, right? Like if people out there going like and you enjoy doing that, that's the thing you're really passionate about. Like that's in your career, right?
I do. I like I said, we've got a big metro area that there's a lot of different parts of, and I work on for our listeners who are listening outside the Kansas City area, because I know we have a nationwide audience.
We do.
Yeah, huge nation. Yeah. For those of you unfamiliar with the Kansas City metro area, it is a metro area that encompasses 2 states. So I'm licensed in 2 different states. I can go anywhere in Kansas or Missouri, and yeah, you get to see a lot of places. When you have a big metro area like that, you can still discover places, and it's kind of fun. And you see a lot of unique homes.
I want to buy a house that's like across the street from Arrowhead. Can I get one of those houses?
You should mention that.
What, do you have one?
I there are some that come up close to the stadiums. They really do. Yeah. Those usually have Raytown addresses, and
yeah. No, I've always wonder what the role that plays and everything when you have like a sports team that's as great as the Chiefs, and the Royals. Obviously, they're competitive, and they won the World Series relatively recently, and well, that was actually 7 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It feels like 5 minutes ago, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Remember that?
Because
remember winning that? We watched that at your place, if I recall correctly.
We did. Yeah, and I opened a very premium bottle of beer that we all autographed.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I still have that on my shelf from the night But
That's awesome.
yeah, when they fall off a cliff, as far as winning ways, and then you don't watch as many games, you don't have as many memories of the team in between their World Series and now.
Yeah, Greinke back.
We did.
Yeah,
We do.
I saw
Yeah.
that. Now, how about that full circle? Remember when they traded Greinke? I think that's when we got is that when we got Escobar and we got Lorenzo Kane. And I think that was part of that trade. Sure, I don't know if you know about that, but I looked
Yeah.
into that a while ago. I'll double check that. I could be, but I remember like the main players that were part of the World Series team came from that trade to Milwaukee, if I recall correctly.
That
And
sounds right.
yeah,
Yeah.
so but yeah, but availability is important.
Yeah.
Real estate work, communication, working, and knowing the right. I don't know, just like seems like a lot of personality, a lot of relationship work.
And it's a lot of stuff like you don't have to have a college degree for what I do, but the information's out there. But I say that, but if you, oh man, I've seen every episode of House Hunters. I think I can do this. No, you can't. No.
I've
But
seen the House Hunters. I've even seen the one where is that the one where people like they make quilts for a living and their budget's like $2 million, something like that.
that's that's the offshoot series Quilton House Hunters. That's
Quilton House Hunters. Quilton with an apostrophe after Quilton apostrophe House Hunters.
Yes.
Yeah, that's well, it sounds like a lot of fun. And to be a top real estate agent, what else goes into a top real estate agent, would you say?
um Communication. Sometimes sometimes it's easy for me to even forget that I do this every day and I know what's going on, as far as what the lender's doing, what the title company's doing, what, if they're the buyer, what the seller's doing, if they're the seller, what's the buyer doing, explaining the steps in the process, like when do we get inspections done, when's the appraisal happen, and things like that. um Sometimes people don't know that and they get caught out and are surprised, and it's my job or your real estate agent's job to walk you through that process and make sure you understand what's going on, because yeah, it is a big deal. This is a big deal for a lot of people, and that's not lost on me. This is buying a house is a huge deal. It's a life event. It's not like ordering a
No,
pizza.
it's a little bit more involved than that, though. There have been some times I've got a pizza that they've got it wrong, and I was ready to burn
Yeah.
my house down. I was so angry.
I have bought pizzas that I've had to finance. So
With a credit card.
yeah,
That's a fun way of saying you used a credit card to buy a pizza.
yeah. That's true.
All right.
That's true.
And one more topic before I let you go, because I have you forcibly staying here. Forcefully. I said forcibly. I don't think that's the right way of saying that, right?
Yeah, it's for people, this is audio, so you can't see, but it is a very clever and creative use of magnets.
Always with the magnets,
Yes.
Seymour. On this podcast, we're gonna have a lot of Simpsons references as well, by the way. Okay. What computer do you use for your real estate work? So I want to go through like the best laptops for real estate agents, because I have a thing here I want to talk about.
Well, the Apple products are very popular with other real estate agents. I myself use a PC. I have a Dell PC that I use.
Okay,
so,
yeah, I'm big on MacBook. You're gonna hear
Yeah.
me talk about how much I like MacBooks.
Yeah.
I think that number one kind of Mac laptop for a real estate agent that I would use is the MacBook Air. Mainly because it's just it's so quick and it's reliable. It gets going. I mean, I've been an Apple Mac person for a long time now, and they're just reliable, always ready to go. And if you
Yeah.
need something to be done like immediately, like when I'm not going to be worried about like it freezing up on me all of a sudden, that really is not a thing that happens too often with Mac. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. It's just it's a rarer occurrence to me at least. And also battery life. Battery life is like
Yeah.
an important process, like because if you're out there in the field, you don't have time to charge, and you forgot to charge, you need a battery
is
that's
true.
going to be there for you. Take care of everything.
Buy an auxiliary charger to charge in your car.
Yep. Good.
But one reason I go with PC is because of the touchscreen. Macs don't have touch screens, and if you are doing some sort of presentation, um, I kind of prefer that if you're showing your clients something. But the bottom line is go with what you're used to.
Well, what do you feel about like tablets, maybe like a Microsoft Surface Pro or even an iPad maybe. Those have touchscreens. Like,
Yeah.
would that be kind of accomplish what you're looking for if you
Yes.
want to show
Yeah.
something? Yeah.
And the only reason I haven't gone that route is because I wouldn't give up my laptop and it would just be another device. That's the only reason. I have nothing against them. It's just it would be another device for me. But yeah, a lot of people use the tablet.
Yeah, touchscreen, that's more of a PC thing. I guess Mac's way of doing that would be the iPad. Um, but yeah, it's just another. You have to have two devices there at that point. If you don't want to have that, then you want it all
Yeah.
on one device. You got to do it on one.
But if you are accumulating devices like that, a phone, a laptop, and a tablet, I have heard that Mac products are the best when you have multiple products like that because they automatically sync up with each other and things like that.
What do you find? What are you presenting normally? Like just like pictures of listings or something, or to your clients, or what are you using it for?
Um, um, a lot of it is that, yeah. If you're bringing a home on the market, it's often helpful to bring a computer or a tablet to show the comparable properties that I looked at, because yes, I can bring a printout of what I looked at and things like that. But when you have it on the computer and you can go back and look at the old listing, you can pull up all the photos and you can get a little more in depth and say, yeah, I think this house will sell for more than yours will because look at this. They did more designer stuff in their home.
Ooh, the porch is screened.
It is.
A
It is.
screened-in porch.
And the screens don't have gaping holes in them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Gaping holes are not in right now.
Yeah.
We don't want gaping holes. And
One step even below that, in your screens, slash marks. You do not want those. That sends a bad signal.
yeah, the one ones. So sounds like is it gaps in the foundation and slashes in the screen. We got to clean those up
Yeah.
before we list it.
If you want top dollar, now if you just want to get out of there,
just leave it there. And
yeah.
what if I put a band-aid over the foundation? Does that show that I care, but not enough to fix it for real?
I know where you're going with that, but the buying public will not see it.
But it's not like a normal band-aid. It's a big band-aid. Like you buy it, you got it from a carnival. You went out, you want it from a carnival.
Novelty band-aid.
Big novelty band-aid. You put it over that. Is that going to work?
If you're listening to this podcast and you are founded on the Kansas Realty Agent website, we have branded foundation band-aids that you can buy on the website.
I should find those and put them on our. I need to start an e-commerce store for all the things we create and think up on this podcast. Yeah. All right. Yeah, Joe, anything else? I think it's going to do it for today. That's enough. That's a pretty good first episode right there. How do you feel about that?
I feel good.
Let's do this again. You want to do this again?
Yeah, I do. I like this.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to do this again. Joe Stevenson, everyone. Thank you so much for
Brian
sharing.
Reynolds. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining me and joining us. Joining me today. There's just you and me right now. So there's not us going on here. It's just
this is actually Brian Reynolds doing a spot on Joe Stevenson impression.
Yeah. I have the same mic. I'm just moving to the left and right of it and saying things.
It's the only impression he does, and it's sad because he can't make any money off.
Can you please be famous so then I can use it? That would be helpful. Okay.
You get an act in Vegas doing
no one's like, or it sells out for some reason.
Yeah, it's all my past clients are like, you nailed him. You nailed him.
It's a great impression of my realtor.
No, he talked about foundation band-aids like it was a thing.
All right, Joe, good first episode. If you enjoyed this episode of the Kansas Real Estate Agent Podcast, make sure you like, subscribe, come back again. We're talking about more stuff about the Kansas City area. We're going to go all over Kansas too. We're not just KC Metro. We're talking about, I'm from Hayes. We talk about all the cities along I-70.
Yeah.
We're going to go to South, Southwest. We're going to talk about all of Kansas over here. Okay.
There's a lot to get into there.
Absolutely. Yep. All right. All right. Thanks, Joe. That's going to do it for now. Take care now.
Cheers.